close friendship.
Their reasons are as diverse as the students themselves. But the one thing they all share is the opportunity to have fun and learn important life lessons. Lessons like supporting their community, learning how to be a leader, and building lifelong friendships.
My reason why is defying expectations.
Is there a grade school or middle school student in your family? Then encourage them to participate in a sport or activity when they go to high school.
My reason why is to make a change in the world.
This message presented by the NFHS and the South Dakota High School Activities Association.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at bhosc.com.
I was the cool dad. My kids wanted me to take them to the mall. I didn't think anything about doing it in front of them, even though I knew it was illegal. Then my oldest started driving. Like father, like son. Gotta read that text right now. But he took a life, and now his is shattered too.
Addiction has many faces. Texting and driving when you know it's life-threatening and illegal can be one of them. Take back control. Put the phone down.
Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety, the South Dakota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
Owner Jerry Jones said to reporters that he isn't confident Micah Parsons will be available for their season opener against the Eagles, as the sides are still at a stalemate in their contract negotiations. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford received an epidural to deal with an aggravated disc. That's according to the NFL Network, but the team believes he'll be ready for Week 1. Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers says he's not likely to play in their preseason opener against the Jaguars. In baseball, Shohei Ohtani struck out 8 in 4 innings of work for the Dodgers. Also homered, number 39 on the season, and it was his 1,000th hit of his career. Dodgers lead the Cardinals 3-2 right now in the 7th. It's all Blue Jays in Denver. They lead the Rockies 20-1 in the 9th inning. Yankees got a win against the Rangers 3-2, snapping a 5-game slide, while Gavin Williams lost his no-hitter in the 9th thanks to Juan Soto's solo home run. But the Guardians and Williams picked up a 4-1 win over the Mets today. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Thanks for being here. The Nate Brown Show is back on across South Dakota. It's always a great day in South Dakota. We know that. We're into August, getting close to school starting. Heads up here. Thanks for being a part of it. Let's finish out summer strong. Football time. We got a lot to discuss today. The Nate Brown Show is on. South Dakota Sports Talk Show, yes, here on Fox Sports Radio. Thanks for making the show possible. Welcome in. Let's try and give you some good stuff across the board with some great guests, thought-provoking sports talk, some questions of the day, a little bit of fun today. We'll try and have some fun. Remember, you can stream us now on X, at Nate Brown Show. Watch us live there. If you're on X, follow the show first, and then watch us live each afternoon drive. Saying hi to everybody there on X. Welcome in studio at Nate Brown Show, and on YouTube. The YouTube channel is live. The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. You've got us there. Let's look at the guest lineup, see what we got coming up for you. We're going to go to Scott Pianowski tonight, Major League Baseball national writer, Yahoo Sports. A lot to break down. We'll get Twins fallout from a national perspective. Let's get an update on the Yankees. The Yankees are just in free fall. I mean, this is a World Series team from last year, and they are in... Well, they're in danger. I mean, there's some ways to go here, but it's crunch time. We'll talk to Scott Pianowski coming up, YahooSports.com, Major League Baseball writer. We will go to Brian Henshin tonight, our old buddy from the Argus Leader. Now he's at the Indy Star. We're going to have a discussion on local sports coverage from a newspaper guy. He's still in the newspaper business, and I've got some questions for him. Brian Henshin, sports writer from Indianapolis Indy Star. He's coming up. Ryan O'Halloran's on the way. Buffalo Bills beat writer, Buffalo News. He's at training camp. Bills, high expectations, a little bit of Hard Knocks action. Did you watch this? I saw clips. It debuted last night, HBO Max. The Bills are in Hard Knocks mode. And I saw clips. I thought it was interesting. They did a new stadium tour. They got the new stadium coming up. So what's Ryan O'Halloran have to say about the Bills for 2025? He's on tap tonight. And Doug Ottewill is in from Denver. Still the hype machine rolling for the Broncos. Let's get the real reaction from a longtime Denver sports writer, Doug Ottewill, coming up from Mile High Sports. Wednesday show looks good. Some local sports coverage to discuss. We got to tell you, Sioux Falls Little League went down earlier today. They're still alive. They got to play Nebraska, win that to get back in against Fargo. So the Sioux Falls Little Leaguers lose today by 1 run, 5-4. They're still in the hunt, but it's the long way around, so they're going to try and come back through. They got to play Nebraska, and then if they win that, they get a rematch with Fargo. We'll see where that goes. So hang tight. 5-4. They got a couple of runs late. Couldn't quite come all the way back. We had their coach on last night. Good luck to the Sioux Falls Little Leaguers. We'll keep an eye on that. If you want in on the show tonight, 605-720-1067. That's the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, 605-720-1067. Lock that one in. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline powered by the Pizza Ranch at East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, also in Brandon, and 2 locations in Rapid City. Your home of everyone's favorite buffet, the Pizza Ranch Buffet tonight. And the text line, one more number, same number, easy. You can text the show, 605-720-1067. Text the show on the Barron's Wilson text line, and you've got us there. Okay. So I'm interested in sports business stuff. And sometimes I think the sports fans sometimes think, I don't want to get into the weeds of a lot of this stuff, corporations and who owns what and how that all works. But I can't get into the weeds today, but it's a big transaction in sports media that's been finalized today. So the NFL is going to get really in with ESPN now. So this has been finalized. You may say, well, ESPN's been in with the NFL for forever, for a long time. They've been in like Flynn. Well, the NFL is essentially giving ESPN the NFL Network and the Red Zone channel, so which a lot of you guys love. We started discussing this last week when this was just thrown out, but it was just finalized now. So the NFL is giving ESPN, this is how I explain the deal, they're giving ESPN the NFL Network and ownership of the Red Zone in exchange for 10% equity in the company. It's like the NFL ESPN Shark Tank. So that means the NFL now owns 10% of ESPN. And so as a sports fan, as an NFL fan, you're wondering, why do I don't really care, 10%? Okay, what now? The NFL owns 10% of ESPN. So I just want to ask this from 30,000 feet tonight. So if ESPN is covering the NFL, as they do, they're a real journalistic outfit. ESPN covers the NFL. They cover the players. They cover off-the-field issues. They cover labor. All of this stuff. Safety, all of whatever you want to say. So ESPN is a legitimate media outlet that covers the NFL. Well, how can the NFL own 10% of ESPN? Is that what you call a conflict of interest? And so let me see what people are saying here on the Nate Brown Show tonight. I got some reaction on social media earlier today, and one of the replies was, let's pull this up. This ownership is just a formality. The NFL and ESPN were already long-time business partners. Well, business partners is different to me than ownership. So what do I mean by that? How could you have a conflict of interest? Well, let's see. What if there is a bad story, a bad look for the NFL? Like this is going to be bad. Let's just I don't know. What about CTE scandal that they found this out, they found this out, and they found this out? Like this is solid. Oh, this is a bad deal for the NFL. Do you think ESPN will do some investigative journalism and actually release that news? So that's just one major example. So I think it's a little bit different than just carrying the games, Monday Night Football. Hey, we're business partners. We give the NFL a bunch of money. We get to carry Monday Night Football. Yeah, we're business. Yeah, it all works. No. The NFL now owns 10% of a media company. So this goes in with Fox. I mean, I'll even bring Fox into this. They just did a deal purchasing 33% of Penske Entertainment. My guy Matt Kearney's a big indie guy, right? So he's in on this. He was the first to tell me this, and so I was looking into the story. So Fox itself they're getting 33% of Penske Entertainment. That's also a media company. IndyCar, the Indy 500. So that's another pro sports league getting in with a media company. And so I'm not just saying, well, it's just an ESPN thing. No, this is the biggest sports network and the biggest sports league actually having now ownership equity with each other. That's different to me than business partners. So you can throw it out there and say, well, nothing really is going to change. But I beg to differ a little bit, because here's how I saw it. When it was the NFL Network itself, did you ever think the NFL Network was independent and would give you some really insightful journalism and some breaking news stories like that were potentially hard-hitting? I've never thought that once. I always had my ears up as I followed the NFL. Ian Rappaport's breaking news. That's great. I follow Ian. That's fine. Ian Rappaport's been really good. I never thought Ian was going to give us like some inside scoop that was potentially damaging, negative. This is big news. Look out. Nobody wants this. I never thought that once. The NFL Network controls what they say, how they do things. And now the NFL is in essentially saying, hey, ESPN, you've got our NFL Network. We're good. You got our red zone, we're good. And all this stuff on the outside is going to be usually okay. On the outside, for most of us sports fans, we're going to be, you don't care who owns what, really. But it's just in those few instances where some story is simmering, some underlying thing is there, you better believe that ESPN is going to even go more the other way. They're going to look totally the other way. There will not be breaking news from ESPN negative on the NFL. That's my guess on this. And maybe they'll just throw it out a couple of times here or there. We think we have a big story. This is big. I'm telling you, it's not just business partners now, it's equity. And I think it's the same thing on the racing side. On the Indy side, Fox just got 33% of Penske Entertainment. They control a lot in Indy, IndyCar racing, in the Indy 500. I'm sitting here going, well, what's Fox going to say or do about the racing side of things? Probably not much. They're going to protect their business interest. So it's interesting. I don't think it's like a big, oh, man, this is a conspiracy. But let me just give you an example from myself. So I've been doing the media thing for quite some time, like 25 years. During that time, I stayed in media, but then I went out and did some other jobs. I worked at a university. I worked at a high school, okay? And I stayed doing a show. Hey, I'm going to do a high school sports show one night a week. I'm going to do a South Dakota sports show still one night a week. And I still kept that up. Well, let me give you a little secret, a little insight here. I was not going to say negative things at all about any of the high school that I worked at. that might surprise you. I wasn't going to be like, hey, I know about this. This coach said this. I talked to this coach. I talked to that coach. Because I worked at that high school. Of course I wouldn't do that. I wasn't lying, but I wasn't going to unveil the inner workings of what's going on. Same story at the college. I was in the college athletic department, and I had a sports radio show. I wasn't going to, boy, if you only knew about this or that and this story and that story, I wasn't going to even touch that. So that's why I have this perspective. Yes, I did my sports radio show, and I covered this, and I covered high school sports and college in South Dakota and all that stuff. I wasn't going to take you, let's go outside the lines with Nate Brown at his place of employment. I had conflicting interests if I were to unveil something that I knew was coming. I wasn't going to do that. So how do you think ESPN's going to do it? I know, it's very, I'm telling you, might not sound the same. It's the same. When you got ownership in a company, you got equity now in a company, in a media company, and they didn't do this deal, give them control of the NFL Network without any guidelines and regulations here of like, you guys understand what's going on? We run the show of the NFL Network. We've had that. You can have it, but you better shape up. Believe me. Let me ask you that question, all right? Does ESPN lose any credibility as a number one source for everything NFL? That's what I want to know. And a deal like this today, ESPN, major news source covering the NFL. Is it a conflict that the NFL will now own 10% of ESPN? That's my question of the day as we start tonight. I think it is. Probably not going to end the world because there's bigger things in the world that we might have problems with, if you noticed. But on the sports side, media, major number one sports league, number one sports company, now owners, not great to me. You got to have some independence. You got to keep some of this. I mean, corporations own everything now, and I don't think this is a good look. And I think it's going to be like, are we going to get Adam Schefter has this. He's been really good. Is Adam Schefter going to be reined in a little bit? I sure would think so. I absolutely would think so. If he has anything negative going on, you're not going to hear much from Adam. You'll still get what you think, but you're going to not know the story. That's my read. What do you say? 605-720-1067. That's the Nate Brown Show Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline and the Barron's Wilson text line. ESPN gave 10% of the company to the NFL. They now own the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone. Is it a conflict of interest with the NFL getting equity of ESPN? Let's see. 52% of you say, not a big deal for me. 48% of you voting ESPN loses some credibility in their coverage of the NFL. That I believe that. I'm with the 48%. Listener text coming in, 605-720-1067. You can text the show there. There have been numerous reports that Adam Silver, the commissioner, calls ESPN to complain about how the announcers call the games in the NBA. They wanted Jeff Van Gundy fired, and eventually ESPN did. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. That's the NBA. So they always, these powerful leagues that are getting a lot of money and stuff that give you the rights, these powerful leagues that give you the rights to cover the sport, they think they've got you. I mean, they got you as a puppet. It's like, hey, do this, otherwise we're going to take the rights next time up, whatever it may be. And now just ramp that up. It's not just the rights. The NFL has 10% equity in ESPN. Very interesting to me. Listener text, ESPN was already too political prior to this acquisition. Now they're going to be even worse. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How much influence is the NFL going to have over ESPN with 10% ownership? That's the question, I wonder. Not just 10%. It's the number one sports league in the world. You think 10% ownership, they're just going to get 10% of say on stuff? I don't think so. By the way, a silver lining here tonight on this. Silver lining. Roger Goodell said today when he announced this, ESPN controls now the name of Red Zone. They bought the name Red Zone. So you got the Red Zone channel. It's not going to change at all. That's what Roger Goodell said. The Red Zone is not going to change. They got the same host. They're going to do the same thing. That's what he said. And then he also said since ESPN has the Red Zone name, they may put Red Zone channel for college football. Now we're talking, Roger. See, he's already influencing. He's like, why don't you guys do this for college? So there's a silver lining for you. I don't like the leagues and major media companies having ownership. I don't like that at all, especially number one league in the world, number one sports network. But that's a good deal. ESPN Red Zone, college football. Would you be in on that? So you can see college football scores, who's where, who's what. I think that's good stuff. That's good stuff, so I hope they follow through on that. 53% of you say it's not a big deal for you. 47% ESPN's going to lose some credibility. I just believe it's too tough. There's too much money, too much at stake. And now the NFL has 10% ownership of ESPN. Coming back, Doug Ottewill kicks us off tonight. Mile High Sports live from Denver. Are the Broncos really this hyped up? Doug's covered the Broncos for a long time. His reaction on the way.
This is South Dakota's Sports.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's time for an upgrade, and don't spend a dime for 2 years. That's right, 0 zip zilch, with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. That's August 2027. Say goodbye to drafts and outdated design, and hello to our acclaimed replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. Get energy-efficient windows and doors and beautiful upgrades with zero regrets. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Denny Menholt Toyota. Use your phone. It's fast and easy. Pull up our website, click on Value Trade-In, scan your VIN, and tell us about your car. You are on your way to a no-hassle, no-commitment cash offer on your vehicle in under 5 minutes. Bring your vehicle and your Kelley Blue Book instant cash offer to Denny Menholt Toyota and get cash or trade-in credit today. See you soon at Denny Menholt Toyota, Rapid City.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. With today's home values, right now could be a great time to sell your home. The Black Hills housing market is competitive, and I would love to help you get top dollar for your home. I have been selling real estate and attracting buyers in Rapid City for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. If you're thinking of selling your current home, let me put my expertise to work for you. Just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker. List it, sell it, and move on. With me, David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio tonight. Wednesday edition of the program. Packed. Good guests across the board. Major League Baseball, NFL, college, high school. Got you covered tonight. Great guest lineup straight ahead. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio. Let's go to Denver. Man, there's a lot of hype in Denver. I mean, this hype train, this is a big hype train right now. I didn't see this coming. But Sean Payton's like leading the way. And so this always scares me as a Broncos fan. I haven't had hype in 10 years. So Doug Ottewell's been in Denver a long time covering the Broncos. Mile High Sports. Doug Ottewell joins us on the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. Doug, how are you?
I'm excellent. Yeah, I'm watching this hype train, and I'm kind of blown away myself.
Okay, I wanted to get your read on this. I'm looking at it going, there's the national media's talking about this now, and Sean Payton's been saying it, and so it's been getting out of Denver that the Broncos, look out for the Broncos. This is the real deal. So you say you're surprised by it. Are you surprised that Sean Payton's kind of talking this way? What are you surprised by the most?
Well, I guess, yeah, to be fair, surprise probably isn't the right term, but it is a little bit, alarming. I mean, I do think that the Broncos will be good. I think Sean Payton thinks the Broncos are good, but I don't really understand the need to go out and tell everybody how good. And, I mean, I think there's a fine line between confidence and sort of boosting up your own guys and putting a bullseye on your back, and that's, I think we're kind of getting to that point of, you're giving teams locker room material at this point. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but, and Sean Payton's a guy that loves to talk, and he's obviously pretty proud of Sean Payton. But, yeah, I think we're getting a little bit over our skis, maybe just a little.
Okay. I think you made a good point. You're like, maybe it's getting a little bit too much now to where teams are like, oh, the Broncos think they're that good. And here's where I go, Doug. Last year, they beat all the losing record teams. They beat one team with a winning record. One. I take away the Chiefs game where they mailed it in the last week. Nobody was playing. So outside of that, one win over a winning record team. So I go from that to now like, he's saying Super Bowl contender. We should be in that mix. Seems like a big jump. I mean, I think people forget. Good season last year. Pretty nice schedule last year.
Yeah, definitely. And then, you throw in the fact that they only scored 7 points in the playoff game and basically got blown out. And, there's a pretty big chasm between last year's team and a Super Bowl team. And that's not to say that Sean Payton isn't right. And obviously, he knows far more about football or football teams than I ever will, and he has a pulse on exactly where his team is, and it's great if you think that your team is a Super Bowl contending kind of team. On the flip side, there's a difference between you thinking that and you telling everyone that. I would say there's a difference between you having a one-on-one conversation with a confidant, and maybe even that one conversation gets leaked, versus basically running a national media tour here in the last week and saying, man, we're going to be great. I mean, there's a difference in all of that, and I think that's kind of where, I don't necessarily think that what he says changes anything materially in terms of how good the Broncos are or aren't. I just think, there's not really. I don't understand the incentive or benefit to, piping up about it.
Yes. Here's one thing he told Seth Wickersham for his book. Sean Payton wanted to draft Patrick Mahomes because he has this analytics breakdown that he does himself, and Patrick Mahomes had the least negative plays that he's seen, like 8%. And then he said when he saw Bo Nix even went 2% of negative plays. He said it was better than Patrick Mahomes. And that was another one where I'm like, I like Bo. I'm rooting for Bo. Character, leadership, hard work. This guy, I think, has it. But I don't need to go down the road of here's what I'm comparing him stats-wise to Patrick Mahomes. But that's another one. He's saying a lot about Bo right now.
Well, and I thought that was interesting because I read that piece too, and the basis of it was this is how Sean Payton evaluates quarterbacks, and he famously said, we're going to be good at this heading into the draft in terms of meaning we're going to be good at evaluating quarterbacks. Well, up until Bo Nix, Sean Payton hadn't really drafted his own quarterback ever. So that was a little bit brash. On the flip side, Bo Nix turned out to be pretty good. Whether he's Patrick Mahomes good or not, that remains to be seen for sure. But the other thing I thought that was interesting about that is that, the book, I believe the title is American Kings, the quarterback, or something along those lines. And it was essentially Sean Payton disclosing his own evaluation method, which, if it's really that high level and proprietary, I'm not sure why you do that. But B, I've heard a couple people on air since that, their coaches, their former quarterbacks, their whatever, saying, that's not that advanced of a metric. I mean, you kind of want your guy to eliminate negative plays, and the idea that negative plays essentially result in processing time or lack thereof is really what he's looking for. So, it's a really interesting comment and sort of tell. The other part of it that I heard that I thought was kind of ironic was that he at one point, spoke very highly of Caleb Williams. Well, Caleb Williams, when you measure him by that metric, is like considerably worse than Bo Nix. He's not even close. So if Sean Payton would have had the number one pick, would he have still taken Bo Nix based on that metric alone? I don't think so, but who knows?
Sean Payton said he loved Bo Nix. That was the guy. And I saw reports, Doug, during that draft. This was always our guy. And I always thought, really? Or was he just kind of the guy left? Hey, first year went well. Sean Payton says Bo Nix can become a top 4 or 5 QB in a couple of years. That's a big group there. Burrow, Mahomes, Allen. Is Bo there in 2 years?
I think the one thing that gives me confidence more than necessarily Sean Payton, which obviously that does give you confidence when your coach believes in you that much, but the fact that Nix was ranked, 64th in the players' vote, top 100, that said a lot to me because, numbers are one thing and record is another thing, and whether you win or lose in the playoff, I mean, all these things are factors, but the fact that his NFL peers said, yeah, this guy can play, I mean, top 100, that's pretty good. There's some quarterbacks that were either behind him or not on the list that you're like, wow, okay, he's already made that leap in the minds of the players. That tells me a lot. I mean, I think we're going to see a really, interesting season because the number of weapons that Bo Nix has, or at least has in theory right now, pre-injury, pre-knowing how good the running backs are, so, some of those things, like he's got a lot more things to work with on offense. And I think if if he's that good, we should see a spike in his numbers and the offense production in general.
Doug Ottewell, is this the most excited you've been for a Broncos season in 10 years?
Oh, easily. I mean, I think I wrote in the magazine that we're coming out with here in a couple weeks that, we in the media have a tendency to, I don't want to say lie, but I think it's human nature to pump yourself up about certain things that, potentially could go a certain way or best case scenario type stuff. I think this team is, I'll say this with a caveat. They're a very complete roster, especially compared to last year. There's not a whole lot of holes across the roster, maybe wide receiver, but it's considerably better than last year. I think I can say that with full confidence. But I will say this, just because the Broncos are better, just because I'm excited, doesn't mean their road is any easier. They do have a nice third-place schedule, but, you're playing in a division with arguably the best quarterbacks in the league and arguably the best coaches in the league. They're all upper tier. And so I don't think it's a given that you just, get right back to the playoffs. 10 wins seems like a floor kind of expectation, but when you start going through the schedule and you start trying to figure out who you're going to leapfrog, it's definitely not a given that they're an 11-win team and that they sail into the playoffs. I think a big goal for me would be winning the division. And if you can win the division, then I think, hey, this is a team on a Super Bowl trajectory. But that's a lot to ask even right now in August,
Doug Ottewell in tonight covering the Broncos. Mile High Sports Magazine. His piece coming out on the upcoming Broncos season. Find him on Twitter at @DOttewell. Quick one here on your guy Shedeur Sanders. So everybody's mad. They're wound up one way or the other. Shedeur Sanders is going to get not a good opportunity this week because he's going to start, and they're going to throw him out there. Or it's, well, Shedeur should, not even get this opportunity. I can't believe that they would do this. So I look at it this way. Here's what people are missing. We are going to absolutely tear apart Shedeur Sanders, whatever happens this weekend. So, if that's setting him up for failure, I guess I'd go that route, Doug. Where do you stand? Because I think people are going to tear him up if he throws 2 incompletions.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I can't think of a time where, collectively or even personally, I've ever in the history of my life been more excited about a Browns preseason football game than a Broncos preseason game.
Yes.
And so, get your popcorn. Everybody in America is going to be watching this game. But I do think you're right. It's going to put a spotlight on them. But I look at it a little differently. This is a golden opportunity. I've heard the conspiracy theories of, well, the GM, the owner, they didn't want this pick. This was just kind of a, disconnect in the Browns, long saga of ineptitude. But, if you put him out there and you're putting him out there against the number 1 defense and he's playing with 2s and 3s, well, he's bound to fail. And then everybody can be validated when they tell him, hit the road, or they put him 3rd on the depth chart. But at the same time, as a guy who followed the Buffs, this is a kid that, he's not really told no very easily. And I think, just that family name, they live for these kind of opportunities. They want to be told, yeah, well, you're set up to fail. You're not going to do it. Would it totally shock me if Shedeur Sanders went out and looked like a bona fide NFL quarterback in a preseason game? It's hard to say, but he's a gamer, and of all the things you can pick apart, his pocket presence and his arm speed and his this and his that and his whatever. At the end of the day, the kid won games, and he had big moments, clutch times, and so I look at it and say, yeah, could we all tear him apart on a pick or a few incompletions or a lack of ability? 100% we could. But I could also see him going out and throwing, 2 touchdowns and putting up 200 yards in a half or something, and then looking like, well, there's your guy. That's why he should have been in the second round instead of the fifth,
Guess what? So polarizing, the Shedeur Sanders thing. The people that don't like him are going to still say he's not good enough, no matter if he throws for a couple of touchdowns, whatever his opportunity is. If he throws a couple of picks, they're just gonna tear him apart. So it's you're in on him, you're out on him. And I guess we're going to find out this week what it looks like. He starts for the Browns. I'm interested, no doubt. Doug Ottewell on tonight from Denver. Mile High Sports. Always appreciate it, Doug. Thanks.
You bet. I'll talk to you soon, Nate.
Appreciate it. Doug Ottewell on from Denver, talking Broncos, Little Sanders, Mile High Sports, live on the Nate Brown Show. All right. Yeah, Shedeur Sanders gets the start. This isn't I don't do the conspiracy stuff very often. So this isn't a conspiracy. I'm a supporter of Shedeur Sanders because I watched him at Colorado. I've sided with Deion and Shedeur and Travis Hunter more than people that are hating on him. So I think there's just a little more to the story there. And Shedeur's made some mistakes and the whole thing. So I'm rooting for him. I want to see him do well. I think he got hosed in the draft. But I am going to tell you, people are just going to rip him apart if he does even average. I mean, they're just going to rip him apart. And it's not a conspiracy that they're throwing him out there first. Oh, the Browns are putting him out there. Kevin Stefanski's starting him, so he looks bad at his first game. That's not right. He gets the chance. He's got to step up. Step up. Coming right back, Brian Henson is on, newspaper sports writer. And I just want to have this discussion. He's a young guy in the business. He does a great job. What has damaged newspapers more? Is it their cuts, the corporations that have lacked the coverage of local sports, or is it the phones that came first? Hey, we're all on our phones. We don't get the newspaper anymore. A discussion with sports writer from the Indy Star, Brian Henson, his read coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Mom, can we please go to Waitiki Indoor Water Park Resort?
Waitiki? What's so special about it?
Are you kidding? It's got slides, fountains, a lazy river, everything. And it's just a short drive to Rapid City. If we stay at one of the hotels, we get water park passes for free.
Wow, you really did your homework. Okay, what do you say we pack our swimsuits and hit Waitiki this weekend?
Yes, best mom ever.
Unlock your adventure at WaitikiWaterPark.com.
Hey, Deal Hunters, the shelves are loaded and our prices won't be beat at Fleet Farm. Get 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic oil for just $21.99 after $5 rebate. Take 30% off all Eukanuba dog foods. And all Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch 2X spray paints are buy one, get one 50% off. From pets to paints to pickups, let Fleet Farm help take care of all your day-to-day needs. Always at the best prices, guaranteed. And check out all our weekly deals at fleetfarm.com.
Whether you're a pro or a Joe, a weekend warrior or a gardening great, Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here when you need us. Nobody plans an injury, but when people throughout the Black Hills and beyond suffer a setback, Monument Health Orthopedics is here to provide comprehensive medical care. Our team of board-certified orthopedic surgeons and specialists is dedicated to helping patients regain the quality of life they've lost due to an injury, arthritis, or joint wear and tear. Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for everyday athletes like you.
Ever dreamed of building something amazing? Builders First Source in Rapid City, Spearfish, and Hot Springs is your go-to building materials partner. Whether you're building new or giving new life to an old space, we provide step-by-step guidance from drafting and cabinetry design to lifelike visualization and top-quality materials. It's your vision, and we're here to make it real. Visit BLDR.com. Builders First Source, your Black Hills partner in building every step of the way.
There's summer, and then there's Murphy's in the summer. Nothing beats it. The food, the drinks, the atmosphere. Whether you're soaking up sunshine on the patio or hanging inside with friends, Murphy's brings the good vibes all season long. Amazing food, cold beers, summer cocktails, live music on the patio, a crew that treats you right, and yes, even a late-night menu every Friday and Saturday night. When you're thinking summer in Rapid City, there's only one move, Murphy's. Visit murphyspubandgrill.com. Murphy's, a Rapid City icon.
Get away from it all in the great outdoors for lasting family memories with a new or pre-owned RV from Dakota Discount RV. We make your RV experience fun and easy by providing you with a quality recreational vehicle, competitive pricing, and professional sales and service. Our large inventory of fifth-wheelers, travel trailers, toy haulers, and live-in horse trailers allows us to save our customers thousands of dollars compared to most dealers. Stop by and see us at Dakota Discount RV, 3330 East Mall Drive across from Cabela's and on JB Road, Blackhawk.
Hi, this is Dr. Dan Jensen at Physio. We want to be your trusted partner for physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab. As the official strength and conditioning partners for Stevens, Central, Douglas, and the Rapid City Rush, our team at Physio is building the best athletes in the Black Hills. If you have an athlete in the family, we offer long-term athlete development at affordable prices for middle and high school students. We also have the only board-certified sports PT in Rapid City. At our brand new facility, Physio is ready to help you perform at your best. One-on-one physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab, all at one place. Get started at bhphysio.com.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown.
Welcome in, the Nate Brown Show, live Fox Sports Radio tonight, Wednesday edition of the program. Glad you're here. 2 hours thought-provoking sports talk across the state. I'll tell you what, looks good, man. Looks good. We got a lot of good stuff. Ryan O'Halloran coming up. Scott Pianowski's on the way. So we got Ryan O'Halloran from Bills training camp. The Bills are on Hard Knocks. So that debuted last night. Hard Knocks and the Buffalo Bills. I'm a Josh Allen fan, so I'm going to get into this one. I haven't been a huge Hard Knocks guy. I'm going to get into this one. HBO Max. We'll talk to Ryan O'Halloran about the Bills. What are their chances? Is that a team that's finally going to get over the top? They've been there. Are they going to get over the top? Scott Pianowski also coming up. Major League Baseball writer, Yahoo Sports. Scott Pianowski on the way. So here's the thing. I got Brian Henshin on the way. Hang tight. Here's what I've discussed. So this week, I just noticed this. We were looking at this saying, is the Sioux Falls Argus-Leader going to have a local sports reporter? Are they going to have a local sports reporter? They used to have a whole sports department. As you guys know, the Argus-Leader has been a really good publication, and I've enjoyed reading it for a long time. They had a whole sports department, 4 or 5 guys or more, and then it went down to a couple. Then it went down to eventually one, and one sports writer, like Brian Henshin, when he was there, he had to cover college, USD, SDSU, Division II, Augie, USF, high schools. Had to cover the whole thing. Then Brian Henshin, who's now at the Indy Star, I'm going to talk to him about this whole scene. He leaves, goes to the Indy Star in Indianapolis. Then a new sports writer comes in. He's been there. One person, they hang on to one person, and now that person's gone, and there hasn't been any sports reporter hired at the Sioux Falls Argus-Leader. So it got my attention. And then I got to thinking, because people are saying, well, newspapers just aren't the same these days. They just aren't the same. So I don't read this. And I've had people call the show and text the show. Well, I just don't read the newspapers anymore. And it's you use this term dying. It's dying. And so I have a question of the day tonight for the Nate Brown Show audience. What really happened first? The phones and the websites, meaning the digital explosion like Yahoo and AOL. Remember AOL? Yahoo, AOL. They had, that was an explosion on the internet. Did our phones and the digital news essentially, did that kill the local newspaper and sports coverage? Or did the newspapers kill themselves, not keeping their sports department, not ramping up coverage instead of corporations cutting back coverage? I think it's a hard question of the day as I've thought about it this afternoon, because it's really easy to see the subscribers have gone down. I haven't held a newspaper in my hand for a long time, but I used to be that guy. I'd sit at my parents' house not so long ago. I still remember this. I'd read the newspaper. I would want to read the newspaper. And I haven't done that in a long time. I'm part of that crowd now. But what came first? Did the digital and our phone addiction? I mean, we get all the news right now here on my phone. And then we say, well, I don't want to pay the subscription fee here. I can find this or find that. Or did the newspapers now, lack of coverage, cutting staff, did they kill themselves? That's my question of the day. It's a deep thought question. And I'm going to have this discussion. Let me see what you're saying here. 605-720-1067. Listener text, if newspaper and news industry did what the music industry did to sites like Napster, we would still have our local news. Oh, so yeah. Take them down. Take them out. Listener text, what really killed newspaper coverage was the idea of the free media on the internet. Now everybody feels that the sports news and all news should be free now. That's an interesting thought. What happened, do you think? Phones and digital, did it kill the local sports coverage? And not just sports, but really local newspaper coverage. Or did newspapers make the cuts and kill themselves? 58% of you are voting on the Nate Brown Show question of the day on Twitter. Follow us at Nate Brown Show and vote there. Also on the text line tonight, 605-720-1067. Be a part of the conversation if you want. 58% of you are voting our phones killed the newspapers first. 42% of you are saying the papers and their cuts killed themselves. Let's see. Listener reaction from James. He is a newspaper guy. You know James? I know James. He's a newspaper guy. Here's a listener reaction from James. Corporations damage newspapers in some cases beyond repair. But locally owned newspapers like the one in Yankton are still fighting. Newspapers aren't dead, but they're definitely not what they should be either. That's a fair comment. They're not what they should be, what they could be. Now, Brian Henshin's at a good newspaper. He's at the Indy Star. He's a sports writer. He's covering high school sports and the whole thing. I want his read because he's been in Sioux Falls. Now he's in Indianapolis. Brian Henshin coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sport.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one.
It's time for an upgrade, and don't spend a dime for 2 years. That's right, 0 zip zilch, with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. That's August 2027. Say goodbye to drafts and outdated design, and hello to our acclaimed replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. Get energy-efficient windows and doors and beautiful upgrades with 0 regrets. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields. We're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
It's officially patio season in downtown Rapid City, and there's no better place to soak up the sun and the good vibes than at Que Pasa Mexican Cantina. Tacos, tequila, burritos, and beer, and good vibes all day long. Que Pasa is your hometown hangout, and we have a smoking deal for you. Mention you heard Rob on the radio and score a $2.99 house margarita any day, anytime. Limit 1 per customer per day, so don't miss out. Offer available for a limited time. Swing by, sip something special, and celebrate the season at Que Pasa Mexican Cantina.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Thanks for being here, making us part of your day. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio. Stream us on X at Nate Brown Show. We're live right now in studio. Welcome in on X at Nate Brown Show. Follow the show and watch us live there. YouTube channel is up. It's free. It's all free. We don't. Doesn't cost a thing. That's how you got to be in today's world. I think you've got us on YouTube. The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You've got us. We'll go out to Buffalo tonight. Bills training camp. Hard Knocks started last night on HBO Max. Ryan O'Halloran covering the Bills for the Buffalo News. He's coming up. Scott Pianowski on tonight talking Major League Baseball and where the Minnesota Twins go from here. Scott Pianowski with Yahoo Sports. Brian Henson is joining us tonight. Sports writer for the Indy Star. I think Brian's been a great writer. He was in Sioux Falls, went to Indianapolis. He's covering high school sports, covered the Indiana Fever. What a beat. That's a good beat right there. IndyStar.com, where his work is, and Brian_Henson on X. Brian, how are you, man? What's going on in Indy tonight?
I'm good, brother. Not much. Fever on the road. Preps haven't started yet, so this is like my little last respite before the Fever come home and high school sports starts, so I'm just living it up. How you been?
I'm doing good, man. Okay, so this is a little breather for you. Now I'm going to bring you in and talk deep thoughts on local sports newspaper coverage, so get ready. Here's why I wanted you on, though, because I think you're thoughtful. I think you get it. You're a young guy. You're in the newspaper business. You have a lot of passion about it. So here's what's crossed my mind. I just saw a story out of Wyoming. 9 small newspapers today shut down today. Like no heads up, no nothing. 9 newspapers owned by a company. Small towns and the whole thing. I know it's different than Sioux Falls, different than Indy, but 9 local newspapers shut down effective immediately. And that got my attention like, well, the local side of this is what keeps things alive. How can local sports coverage stay alive, Brian? It feels like you have to do a lot of stuff. It's not just writing. You're doing podcasts. You're doing digital stuff. Is that how you stay in this game?
Yeah, it really is. And I don't know. I think, honestly, it's not really what can we do. It's what can they do, and they being the corporate side of things and the owners of these papers, be it local or, a big corporation like the one that I work for, just taking that gamble and investing in local sports and specifically high school sports. Because, we saw it at the Argus when I was there. I covered statewide preps, and there was an audience, there was a hunger for it. We did great numbers, People always talk about how we punched above our weight class for being a market our size and the numbers that we draw in terms of page views and subscriptions. And I come out here to Indy, and it's the same thing where Kyle Nedner, the lead preps writer, and we're leading the newsroom, and we're top 3 in the entire company for high school sports writers in terms of subscriptions generated because there's so much interest.
Really?
And they hired me to cover girls' high school sports out here. That's how much of a hunger there is. And I think, honestly, having lived in Sioux Falls in South Dakota for 6 years, I think the interest is there too. And it has to be a willingness at the corporate level to invest in sports and to prioritize sports. And I think that it is, to your point, it's just so important because I look at high school sports and like, that's quintessential local journalism, right? Like, how else are you going to find out about what your local high school team did, what Rapid City Stevens did, what Central did, whatever it may be? Like, how else are you going to find that out except for going to the newspaper and looking to see? Because honestly, we're the only ones who care from the media perspective. We cover it differently than television. They have different constraints. They're playing a different game than us, which is fine. They do a good job too, especially in South Dakota. But I mean, newspapers, like, we're able to dive in and really invest in the communities. And I think that we've done, at least when I was at the Argus, I feel confident saying that we certainly do that here in Indy. We did a good job of changing with the times. Like you mentioned the podcast. When I was in South Dakota, we had Argus All Access. We were given, locker room behind the scenes stuff on different games. We were finding good feature angles and doing different feature stories so that it wasn't just your run-of-the-mill, gamer and basic coverage. Like, we treated that like it was a major beat, gave it the coverage that it deserved, the attention that it deserves, and we got payback on that financially. And I think it's a matter of companies and ownership and the people who sign the checks understanding that the audience is there, the hunger is there, the money is there, because that's what this is all about, right? It's a business, and it sucks to hear that, but I mean, it's there, and people are willing to pay for it. You just have to give them the content and make it worth their while.
Brian Henson on tonight, sports writer for the Indianapolis Star, IndyStar.com. They do a good job. He covers high school sports and the Indiana Fever out there. So I put up a question of the day. It's a little harsh, but I basically want to know, though, because I'm tired of people complaining. Like, everybody complains about the lack of coverage. And I hear that, and I think you've done a good job. There's a lot of people that have done a good job at the Argus over the years. It was great. But now people are like, well, we can't get any coverage. There's no good coverage. There's a lack of coverage. Nobody comes in. And it's like, well, hang on a second. We all got stuck in our phones. We all got stuck doing the free stuff on the internet all the time. And then when now we don't get a newspaper, we maybe don't want to pay for a subscription online because we expect everything right here, right now. What's been more damaging, do you think? The phone digital explosion to the newspaper, or the newspaper themselves saying, well, we're running out of subscriptions, our circulation's down, we got to make cuts? What's been more damaging?
That's it, is that circulation is down, we got to make cuts. And any excuse they have to cut staff, we've seen it at the Argus, we've seen it at the Rapid City Journal, any excuse they have to cut staff, to lowball people so that they don't want to stay, they'll do it. And that's part of what killed it. And I think, too, that I've said this before. I'm not sure if I said it on your show, but I'm sure that I've said it publicly elsewhere. But I think, too, with newspapers, their biggest mistake was making content available online for free in the first place. Because suddenly that's what people expect to be the norm. They are not trained and they're not programmed to understand that this stuff costs money and that it should cost money. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just free. You're giving this to me free. Well, now why all of a sudden is it not free anymore?
Yes.
So newspapers kind of put themselves behind the eight ball with that. But yeah, it's absolutely the check signers and the corporate decisions. And I understand that they're running a business and all that stuff, but it's also a newspaper. And I mean, I don't blame people at times when they don't want to subscribe to certain things because the coverage is lacking sometimes, and you got to give them what they want. And the only way that you can give them what they want at the level that they deserve, and to the level that we were at the Argus, when it was like me and Zimmer, Mick, and Stu, and then it was me and Zimmer and Stu, and then it was just me and Zimmer. And my God, it is depressing to just talk through that and say that out loud again.
Right.
But is that we gave them stuff that was worth paying for, and because we were able to work as a team, and we had the people and the resources there to do it. And that's obviously not the case anymore. And I mean, financially, do I think that it's ever going to get back to the way it was at the Argus where they have multiple sports reporters? I have a hard time seeing it. Should it be? Yes. It should be, because I think the hunger and the interest in high school sports is just out of this world. And I mean, it's such a great place. Like, obviously I have a soft spot for South Dakota, but it's frustrating for sure.
But it is part of the consumer habit, like you just said. The consumer now, I talk to a lot of people, well, I don't want to pay for this. We don't want to pay for anything because we have to pay for everything. Yet we have 92 apps that we stream on our TV, right? We gotta pay for all this stuff. So now on the local sports coverage side, we're like, well, I guess I'll just bag that.
Right. I'll just read it aggregated somewhere else. So I guess it really wasn't that important to me. And I get it on the one hand, but it's also frustrating at the same time as the person who writes it. And then you get the people who complain that it costs money, and they're like, I shouldn't have to pay for it. And it's like, well, do you go to the grocery store and complain when they don't give you stuff for free? Do you go to the doctor's office and well, it's a bad example because that's a different can of worms. You know what I mean? Like simple services. You complain when the plumber asks for money when he fixed your toilet. You complain when the electrician comes by and fixes a short circuit in your oven or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it is fascinating, the dynamic of journalism and the unwillingness to pay for local news.
Okay, let me ask you. You talked about your team now at the Indy Star, and you guys have a sports department. It's a big city. The Indy Star's a strong paper. What's the biggest challenge here ahead for even like an Indy Star to stay in this such a competitive media game?
Probably talent retention. Because, I mean, I look at the job that we do, especially on the high school side of things, like it's a big city with big pro sports teams, so we're kind of the only ones who do it, especially for me on the girls' side. Like I don't want to sound arrogant, but I'm the guy who does it. It's kind of the similar thing to when I was in South Dakota. So it's probably just talent retention, making sure that we're keeping up and compensating our employees accordingly and giving them reasons to stay, and not treating it like it's a stepping stone job, which is certainly not how I look at it. It's not really how I looked at Sioux Falls either as I got settled in there. So that's probably it. And then the same as everybody else. It's just staying up with the changing technologies, like the podcast. Like I do a girls basketball podcast, and that's taken off. So what's the next step going to be, and how do we adjust and adapt to what our readers want and what the audience wants? So that's always the biggest challenge, but it's not necessarily a challenge in a negative way in that way. It's kind of a fun thing, it just keeps you on your toes a little bit, and it keeps you fresh. It prevents the job from getting stale, which is something that I really appreciate about working for the company that I do.
I'll tell you, you got a team there. You do a great job. You're dialed in girls high school sports in the Indiana Fever when you step in there, but you're one guy. If it's one guy and you got to try and cover every sport in Rapid City or Sioux Falls, that just can't happen,
impossible.
Right?
Oh, absolutely not. I felt bad for the guy at the Argus before. Like he was doomed from the start because you have a kid trying to cover South Dakota State, a national championship football program, women's basketball, men's basketball, they're always in the tournament. University of South Dakota, football that's on the rise, basketball that's always right there on the women's side and on the rise on the men's side. Not to mention volleyball at South Dakota, and I think State had some random good years. And then on top of that, you have high schools. And I tell you, Nate, you know what they should have done? And I talked to people involved over there, and he actually pitched the same idea and just got shut down, is if I were the Argus, and I would have cut off coverage or lessen my coverage of the colleges, and I would have focused all my energy on high school sports. I would have just covered the heck out of high school sports because you're not going to beat Matt Zimmer. You know what I mean? You're not going to beat Matt. You're not going to beat the other guy that they have over at their forum because they have dedicated reporters to those colleges. But you can cover the heck out of high school. Trent does a great job at forum. That's great. So you just add to the coverage, and you find your own angles. There's so many stories out there. Like, man, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different opportunities. And again, that market's always going to be there. The readers are always going to want to be there. And that most importantly, the subscription dollars are going to be there because people, it's going to suck to pay for it, but they're going to want to read about their kids, so they're more likely to pay for it. And if I were the Argus, if I were the one calling the shots there, that's how I'd approach it. Is I'd hire a sports reporter who would focus mostly on the professional sport or mostly on the high school sports. Then you worry about the colleges, as you need to when something big happens. It stinks. It's unfortunate, but I mean, if your hands are going to be tied like this, you gotta do something. And personally, and I guess I'm a little biased, I think high school sports is the way to go.
Brian Henson, good stuff tonight. Really appreciate the perspective. You've done a nice job. He went from Sioux Falls out to Indianapolis. His work's at the IndyStar.com, getting set for the high school sports season out there. He's on X. If you're not following him, maybe you unfollowed him. Come on, don't do that to the guy. Brian_Henson, we're still connected, man. Thanks for coming on. Always appreciate you, bud.
Absolutely, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks a lot. Brian Henson on tonight talking local sports coverage. IndyStar.com sports writer, former Argus leader sports writer, was part of the sports department. It got whittled down. He was the one guy left. Then he went to the Indy Star, and now there was one more guy. Now that's gone, and now the Argus leader left with a no sports reporter right now. And my question of the day, what damaged newspaper coverage the most? Phones and digital? Did that explosion hit them, or did the newspapers hit themselves making the cuts and then having the lack of coverage? Tough question of the day. You tell me. 605-720-1067. That's the text line. Hey, it's Wednesday. 5 questions from Chris. A little fun tonight. Chris, our loyal listener, sends me questions. I've got some answers coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's time for an upgrade, and don't spend a dime for 2 years. That's right, 0 zip zilch, with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. That's August 2027. Say goodbye to drafts and outdated design, and hello to our acclaimed replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. Get energy-efficient windows and doors and beautiful upgrades with zero regrets. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Wrench Law, 605-341-1111, wrenchlaw.com.
Chatting with Brian at Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail. Boy, summer is flying by.
That it is, and while it's still here, we'll keep your rig in tip-top shape for the last few road trips of the season.
Being a AAA and ASC certified shop, I know you guys are well equipped to do just that.
Yes, sir. We're here to take care of all your automotive needs. So from oil changes, batteries, tires, to cooling systems and AC charges and repairs, and basically any automotive repair issue, we're your answer.
Nothing like one-stop shopping.
That's our goal. Plus, we carry over 50 brand name tires and have deals as good as anywhere. And simply the best brake deal around at just $399 per axle for most vehicles, including pads, rotors, labor, and a lifetime warranty as long as you own the rig.
And I'll say it again, that's one incredible brake deal.
It sure is. So come see us to keep living a happy and affordable motoring life.
Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail, everybody. The place to trust. Your complete AAA and ASC certified automotive repair specialist. See AnytimeAnytime.com and at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
One more time. This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio. The Nate Brown Show. Welcome in. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Thanks for being here. Scott Pianowski's coming up, National Major League Baseball analyst. YahooSports.com. We'll talk to Scott Pianowski, Yankees, Twins, and more. Scott Pianowski coming up. We're in August. It's serious time now for Major League Baseball. We'll go out to Buffalo tonight, talk Josh Allen and the Bills with Ryan O'Halloran covering the Bills training camp. They're on Hard Knocks. That's something I'll get into now. You'll follow Josh Allen and the guys. First episode of Hard Knocks with the Bills was last night on HBO Max. So Ryan O'Halloran coming up from the Buffalo News. He is straight ahead. That's what's on tap tonight. Brought to you by the new Campfire Bar with the best patio in South Dakota outside of the new Mr. Liquor, too. So stop by. You've got live sports at the Campfire Bar. 20 South Dakota brews on tap tonight. It's off Catron Boulevard, the new Mr. Liquor 2, and inside the Campfire Bar. That's what's on tap on the Nate Brown Show. Hey, let's go to the question of the day, see what people are reacting. Question of the day, what really happened in local sports newspaper coverage? Did phones and digital kill the local newspaper coverage, or did the local newspapers kill themselves by making cuts and cutting back coverage? What really happened first, the chicken or the egg? That's the question when it comes to where the newspaper industry's at. And I'm kind of dialing in on the local sports coverage side because that's where they've cut, really. They've cut some news, too, but one of the first places they've gone is sports. It's like, wow, I mean, TV stations have done this a little bit. There's no local sports on some major networks in some major cities. So let's see. What killed the local newspaper sports coverage first? Phones and digital explosion? It's just the way the world or the papers killed themselves because they cut their coverage, and then the coverage wasn't as good. What do you say? A lot of votes here. 59% are voting phones and digital killed the newspapers. That's what happened. 41% say the papers actually killed themselves by cutting back their coverage. Listener text, a couple of them coming in. 605-720-1067. The Barron's Wilson text line on the Nate Brown Show for you. Listener text from, okay, here we go. Digital media killed high school and other local sports. Everyone wants something for free now. There's no such thing as a free lunch. What? This show's free. What are you talking about? I'm kidding. Well, we're still free. As long as I can keep this thing afloat, we're still free. Don't worry. We're not going to go to some paid platform, right? No. We're fine. This is free radio. This is good stuff. Let's see. So there is something free. It's the Nate Brown Show. Free 99. It's a discount. Let's see. Listener text. The only generation that still gets the paper is the baby boomers. How do the newspapers get the Gen X or Gen Z into newspapers? That's the billion-dollar question. Yeah. That's a big question. I don't think they get them into newspapers. I don't. So it's interesting. Argus Leader at Sioux Falls doesn't have a sports reporter right now. No sports reporter. And high school sports is here now. College football is here now. We'll keep an eye on that one. Digital killed the newspapers, huh? That's what 59% of you are saying. All right. By the way, speaking of this, and I joke about this show being free, but I've worked hard to try and, put something together here. We cover local sports on the station I have. We keep it really high school centric, and that's been the bread and butter. And I look at it and say, I don't just do a radio show either. I love radio. That's how I grew up. That's how my career started. But we had to get out there on everything. So I do believe you have to change with the times, and I think the newspaper was slow to that. They were really slow to that. There was missteps along the way. But we have to change too. It's not just catching this show on the radio, I hope, when you're in your car right now. There's so many ways you can do it. You can do it on X right now. You can do it on YouTube right now. You can do it on a website right now, streaming. You can do it on the podcast afterwards. Right? It's like, oh, why do you do a podcast? Don't you want people to listen to the live show? Oh, we want people to have the content, and we want it readily accessible. So even a radio show needs to change things as we move forward. And we're like one of the only radio shows, I think, in South Dakota that has like that many platforms, I think. I mean, I'm not that innovative, but I think we're one of the only ones. Okay, it's a Wednesday on the Nate Brown Show. Let's go.
It's time for 5 questions from Chris on the Nate Brown Show.
Chris, are you ready? I'm ready. 5 questions from Chris on a Wednesday on the Nate Brown Show. Our loyal listener, Chris, sends them in. Here it is. Question 1. Nate, everything's going wrong with the Yankees, currently holding the last spot in the playoffs with a half-game lead over the Rangers. They even got swept by the Marlins over the weekend. Do you think the front office replaces Aaron Boone with a month or so left in the regular season to try and get back in the playoff race? It's loud out there, Chris. New York City is loud. They were going to axe Boone last year. You asked this same question at this same time. I'm serious. And Boone survived. I said, no, you're going to stick with Boone. Stick with him. And now it's happening again, yet they go to the World Series last year. Are they going to stick with Aaron Boone? I think they will, surprisingly. I think Hal Steinbrenner, even though he gets influenced, but I think he's going to stick with Aaron Boone. People are loud. They want him out. I think he sticks with him, Chris. We'll see. Question number 2. With news of Fox purchasing Penske Entertainment, a portion of Penske, they own IndyCar, the Indianapolis Speedway. Now ESPN is giving equity to the NFL, 10% ownership to the NFL. Should either of these investments be allowed to happen, Nate? Well, that's interesting, yes. We started the show with it. So, yeah, the NFL now owns 10% of ESPN. I don't like that. I don't like Fox owning 33% of Penske and IndyCar and the racing. There's just too many conflicts of interest. I don't like companies that own 6 stations in one market. There's just too much of that. And this is controlling too much. The NFL and ESPN teaming up ownership, I don't think it's good. Can it happen? I guess, but I don't think it's good. Question number 3. Fox signed a $1.2 billion deal in 2014 to broadcast the U.S. Open golf tournament. Then they paid money to get out of it. NBC picked it up after that. What do you think about now moving forward? Are we starting to see a pullback in what is offered to some mid-tier leagues and sporting events? Media deals. So you're talking media deals, Chris. Starting to see a pullback on the mid-tier stuff. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe the U.S. Open's not getting the biggest deal that they should have, but there's media deals for everything, because the only thing that's keeping TV really interesting, on demand, scheduled, is live sports. Streaming is just killing TV, so you got to have live sports. So no, I don't think there is a pullback in companies offering big money for live sports. I think that's still the ticket. Question number 4. Nate, you are still the vice president of the South Dakota chapter of the Kirk Cousins fan club. How do you know, Chris? I gave that up. I got voted out of the Kirk Cousins fan club. Anyway, preseason games are about to begin. Are you surprised the Falcons have not done anything with Kirk Cousins? No trade reports or anything. Yeah, I guess. I think Kirk's got to end up somewhere. He's not going to be playing there. I don't think he's a backup at this point. I'm not the vice president anymore, so I'm kind of disconnected. But I was the vice president of the Kirk Cousins fan club in South Dakota when he was with the Vikings. Now with the Falcons, a little injury, some struggles. My sweatshirt, my shirt that I had with the patch, the Kirk Cousins fan club, I sent that into Goodwill. Anyway, that's where Kirk's going to be if he doesn't get on a team sooner or later. Question number 5. The minority owner of the Celtics tried purchasing the WNBA team Connecticut Sun for a record $325 million. Then the Board of Governors did not approve that because they were looking at the pre-approved expansion host cities getting first crack, like Cleveland, Detroit, or Philadelphia. How do you think this is going to go for the Connecticut Sun? Will they end up in one of those markets? The Board of Governors going to hold firm on their rules? Or will they allow them to go to a place like Boston, to the Boston Celtics owner? I don't know. I think they're not going to let somebody leapfrog in there. I know it's big money. I don't think they're going to let somebody leapfrog in. That's why they shut it down now. Because these new cities are like, we're going to have to start from scratch. Well, we'll take a team. It's some infrastructure, some contract. Sometimes it's easier to start with a team So the Connecticut Sun bye got shut down, and I don't think they're going to allow somebody to come in there and leapfrog over the pre-approved expansion sites. We shall see. A WNBA business model, really interesting. 5 questions from Chris in the books on a Wednesday, and Ryan O'Halloran from the Buffalo Bills training camp coming up.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's time for an upgrade, and don't spend a dime for 2 years. That's right, 0 zip zilch, with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. That's August 2027. Say goodbye to drafts and outdated design, and hello to our acclaimed replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. Get energy-efficient windows and doors and beautiful upgrades with 0 regrets. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
City has a new sports facility that you have to check out. E3 Sports Complex on East North Street is the newest indoor sports facility featuring 4 full courts. E3 Sports is here to serve the community and wants all athletes of any age to come and experience expert training, coaching, and the opportunity to unlock your athletic potential. Memberships and court rentals are available now. Come to play at E3 Sports Complex. Learn more at e3sports.org.
Looking for a great place for a pregame meal that really satisfies? Or maybe you want a place to take your all-star after the game. Or you're looking for a place to enjoy a delicious meal while watching your favorite team on the big screen TV. Valley Sports Bar and Grill has all the bases covered for all those things and more. Top-notch, friendly, and attentive service. Wall-to-wall big screen TVs with all the big games. And the absolute best wings in Rapid City. Valley Sports Bar. Make it your place. 1865 Valley Drive, Rapid City.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Thanks for making us part of your day. Thought-provoking sports talk for South Dakota across the state on Fox Sports Radio. South Dakota Sports Talk Show from high school to college to the pros. Got you covered tonight. Ryan O'Halloran is on tonight. Talking Bills. Is this the year for the Bills? We've been saying that for a while. It's been close. BuffaloNews.com. Ryan, welcome back on. How are you?
Good, Nate. We can get to this at the end of the segment. I got so sick and tired of watching the Bills losing the playoffs, I decided to leave town.
I've heard about this. I know. That's a good line. Okay, I'm going to get into that with you. Let's get into the Bills here. First, I want to go with Hard Knocks. The Sean McDermott and the guys, I guess, didn't want to really be on it. They're on it. It debuted last night. You said oof. What's that mean?
Oof, boy, it was boring. And you can tell it's almost like we're joking on my group text. Sean McDermott had final cut on the episode. I mean, obviously he didn't, but I mean, that was exactly what he wanted, which was a whole lot of nothing. I mean, you saw him speak to the team for 10 seconds, no position meetings, no players really being mic'd up in intense situations, and they did not address the James Cook hold-in, even though that started over the weekend. They had plenty of time to get that in. So that show is probably not for somebody like me who is so familiar with the team and more the general fan, but I didn't see a lot of meat on the proverbial bone there.
Okay, so you say not a good grade on the Hard Knocks production content last night. It debuted on HBO Max, the Bills on training camp, Hard Knocks. What about, I did see the new stadium being talked about, and it's going to be not windy and the whole thing. So give me a read on this new outdoor stadium in Buffalo.
Yeah, and Josh Allen and Terry Pegula, they filmed that on Friday afternoon before their stadium practice, and it's on track to open next July or August. I think they wanted to really have a big concert to start it off. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but it's going to be a home field advantage because it's going to be in the elements, but it's going to be more fan friendly because 65% of the fans or more are going to be covered by that canopy. And as they tried to explain the wind dimensions of it, I mean, that's stuff that I guess you'll have to, feel to believe once you're in the building. But there is excitement amongst the fans about the old stadium. They are reminiscing throughout training camp already about the last year of that dump across the street.
Okay. You mentioned James Cook. What's the hang-up here? How important is he to the Bills?
Well, I'll start with the second part. Very important because he's by far their best running back. After him, you have Ray Davis, who's a second-year player, Ty Johnson, who's more of a third-down guy. So, James Cook tied for the league lead in touchdowns last year, is more than adequate as a receiver, and has been pretty durable. He reports to minicamp, avoids the fine, reports to training camp 3 weeks ago, practices normally. Then all of a sudden he decides, hey, I'm going to tap out with a hold-in right now. He wasn't spotted at practice today. So one of the questions for Sean McDermott tomorrow morning is this player still on the property? And also, is he working out? Is he trying to stay in shape? I don't buy this nonsense that he sat out because the deal is closed. I think it's the opposite. I don't even think they're in the same chapter of the same book. So I don't think James Cook has a ton of leverage. And the Bills are marking their line in the sand. They have not paid a running back in the Brandon Beane era. And that may be their strategy this time. Use them up, draft a new one.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, what do you think is the right strategy with James Cook? You say he's their best running back. Is he a game breaker for them?
No, I mean, he's not in the Barkley, Henry categories, but few backs are in recent history, much less now. He has his number in mind. Is he a $10 million a year player? Maybe. But the Bills have high-end talent getting high-end money throughout that offense, quarterback, both offensive tackles, a couple receivers. So, you can't pay everybody as much as you want to. One of the things I predicted before camp is that they trade him mid-season. Get something for him. That would probably be unorthodox, but if the relationship is souring, maybe you look and see what's out there.
Ryan O'Halloran on tonight from BuffaloNews.com, covers the Bills training camp rolling. How does this roster look to you? Josh Allen back, ready to go. He's the man. How's the roster look? I said, is this the year?
Well, I think it's going to be tough. Josh Allen is going to win an NFL. Josh Allen is going to repeat as MVP because he's going to have to be at an MVP level with this roster. I'll start on defense. Name a difference maker. I don't see one. Joey Bosa, is he a difference maker at this stage of his career? I would say no. Both their safeties are hurt. Their rookie first-round corner, Max Harrison, he's hurt. Terrell Bernard, their quarterback on defense, he's been hurt. So they have a lot of questions on defense. On offense, if you get Cook, back on the field, I think they're going to score a ton of points, and they're going to need to.
I will ask you, this Buffalo Bills team couldn't get by the Chiefs, but people say, well, the Chiefs, they're going to fall one of these times. Is there anybody else in the AFC that's like, well, this is the team that the Bills might not get by? Is it the Ravens? Who are you looking at in the AFC? Is it still the Chiefs?
I mean, I think overall it does go through Kansas City until proven otherwise. And I don't know about you, Nate. I don't buy this stuff that the Broncos are going to overtake them in the division. I just don't buy that. But the team that has given the Bills the biggest trouble has been Cincinnati Bengals. They have not had an answer for Joe Burrow in that receiver group. So I think if Cincinnati can start better and get to the playoffs, they're a dangerous team. And let's face it, Baltimore probably had the better team here last year in Buffalo on that Sunday night. Lamar Jackson gave them the game with the takeaways. So I do think it's sort of a four-team, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and the Bills. I think those four teams are probably a level above everybody else.
Okay, I want to ask you about the coaching staff. ESPN put out a ranking of the best coaching staffs. Sean McDermott and his staff ranked number 7, right behind Sean Payton and the Broncos. Who's better?
Well, Sean Payton's got the hardware, and he's the offensive play caller. In terms of Sean McDermott's staff, I think Joe Brady is a good coordinator. Sean McDermott's stamp is still on this defense, even though he doesn't call the plays. But, to me, the Broncos, to me, it's 6 and 1, half dozen the other, because you really got to dig in, okay, who does what? How long have they been there? What kind of continuity do they bring to the table? So, I guess it's better to be 7th than 17th, considering the Bills' success.
Okay, you just mentioned Ryan O'Halloran. I'm talking to you from Buffalo, BuffaloNews.com. You've been my Bills guy, and now I'm not going to have a Bills guy for now. I'm going to have to find another guy. You're heading out of town, going back to Jacksonville. Tell me about this. Are we going to be covering Travis Hunter in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I'm going to be there as the full-time sports columnist, which has been a goal of mine and I did it about halfway here in Buffalo, get off the beat, write more columns, write more features. So now I'll be a full-time columnist, being able to do some college football. It is a fertile ground for high school athletics. I want to get into that, and also probably cover all but 1 or 2 or 3 Jaguar games in the season, home and away. So still have both feet in the NFL, but being able to, branch out a little bit and tell some other stories. And let's face it, I grew up in North Dakota, Nate. I've never seen snow like this.
Oh, is that right? Buffalo.
Yeah, I can deal with the cold, no problem, because here's the thing about the cold. You can get in your car and start driving. You don't have to clean off your car 4 times a day. So this was a pretty easy decision when they approached me this summer. And, my last day at the Buffalo paper is on Friday, and I start down there on Monday.
Wow, quick turnaround. Ryan O'Halloran's been covering the Bills, BuffaloNews.com. He's on X. Follow him now. He's heading down to Florida, Jacksonville. Ryan O'Halloran, he's on X there. I got your first column. Here's the question, okay? Your last one. Can Travis Hunter be a wide receiver and a corner in the NFL?
I think he can. It's just a matter of managing his reps. And one thing I've said about Travis Hunter this summer when asked about him is, I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing, and it's going to depend on the opponent. Let's say, or injuries. Let's say Tyson Campbell or another Jaguar corner is injured, then you're going to have to play Travis Hunter full-time on defense. That may limit his offense. I'm not going to jump aboard the train that he can win offense and defensive rookie of the year. That would be something, because at that point, then you should make him MVP. But I think for fans of the NFL, even if you don't care about the Jaguars or watch the Jaguars, Travis Hunter is one of the great subplots of this NFL season.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Ryan O'Halloran, I do have a listener text that has listened to all of your segments. Listener text on the Nate Brown Show. Did Ryan ever find a good pizza joint in Buffalo?
That would be a no, except for Blaze.
Oh, is that it? Come on. Well, that's why he's leaving. I got it. Ryan O'Halloran, appreciate you, man. We'll stay in touch. Good luck on the travel. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, Nate. Anytime.
Appreciate it. Ryan O'Halloran covering the Bills right now on his way to Jacksonville for the Jaguars and more. He's been at the Denver Post. We've had him on the show a lot over the years. Good reporter. He's been covering the NFL a long time. Ryan O'Halloran on tonight live talking Bills training camp, and now he's rolling to Jacksonville. Little heads up on the Nate Brown Show. What Denver Broncos game am I trying to go to this year? Do you care? Well, I try and go to a Broncos game one a year. What Broncos game am I trying to go to this year? The Jaguars at Denver. The Jaguars. Travis Hunter and the Jaguars coming to see my Broncos. I'm trying. I'll keep you posted. It's right before Christmas. Merry Christmas to Nate Brown. Coming right back, Scott Pianowski, Major League Baseball writer, Yahoo Sports. A lot to discuss. We'll start with where the Twins are at and going from the national perspective. Scott Pianowski coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
It's time for an upgrade, and don't spend a dime for 2 years. That's right, 0 zip zilch, with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. That's August 2027. Say goodbye to drafts and outdated design, and hello to our acclaimed replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. Get energy-efficient windows and doors and beautiful upgrades with zero regrets. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Hi, folks. Kevin McPherson, McPherson Auction Company. We can turn your property to cash. We can sell your personal property and your real estate at auction. A family business for 64 years and counting. We've sold several millions of dollars in property over the years. We're happy to consult with you on your auction plans. Let our selling experience work for you. Call McPherson Auction, 605-348-1369. Visit us on our web at McPhersonAuction.com.
Great news. I just got the State Farm personal price plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio. You've made it. We've made it through your day into the drive home. I hope the Nate Brown Show is on. Thanks for joining us every afternoon drive. If you don't listen on the radio the whole 2 hours, I mean, that's tough. We have some people that hang with us. I mean, those are the OGs. You know what that means? Those are the real deal. But if you can't do 2 hours on the radio, you've got the Nate Brown Show podcast. You can catch it anywhere, Amazon, Spotify, Apple. We put it up there, and you can listen to it on demand. So don't miss any show, the Nate Brown Show podcast. Search the Nate Brown Show wherever you get your podcast. Hey, Scott Pianowski's in tonight. Talks some Major League Baseball. Wants Scott's perspective on the Twins and where they're going and more. Yahoo Sports is where you'll find him. He's on X at Scott_Pianowski. Scott, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great, Nate. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm not a Twins homer. I'm a Cubs guy, as you know. And this is interesting. So my Cubs, I told all the Twins fans around here, I'm like, my Cubs dismantled their World Series team. Joe Madden, they started there, and then, got rid of Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, all that stuff. And it was kind of like, I don't know if we should do this. That's how I felt. And it took a while for the Cubs to make their way back to, like, being pretty good now. Twins decide last week they're blowing the whole thing up. What do you think Twins fans should think?
Well, it was reasonable what they did. Look, 10 of their 26 active players were traded during the deadline week. They traded eight of those guys on the final deadline day. But what did they trade? Okay, most of the guys they traded were relievers. They traded the second-best bullpen in baseball. Basically, all of it got packaged away, headlined by Duran, but all other guys. They got out from under the Correa contract, which may have been for the best, and you trade guys like Harrison Bader, who's kind of a fourth outfielder, Willie Castro, who's one of those rovers, good enough to play, but not really a signature player. Ty France, you can live without him. It's a division where it doesn't take long to go from non-contending to contending. We've seen that with Detroit. It's a division where no team is pumping in huge money to their team. So I don't see why the Twins couldn't be a contender pretty soon. We know, obviously, the sale is pending. We'll see what they're going to do with the team up for sale and who ends up taking over this team. But I could see the Twins being a playoff contender next year or the year after, because what they traded is the easiest thing to replace a Major League bullpen.
Okay, interesting. What do you think of the mindset, though? There's the fans are like, well, the owners are trying to sell. They're trying to save money. I've seen some reporting that said that's why they did this. They have debt. They're trying to get rid of payroll. They're not trying to build a winner. The owners are trying to get a good spreadsheet. Do you believe that?
I mean, it makes sense to get tidier before you sell something. That works in any business. And remember, the Correa trade was not the first we've seen of this kind of deal, right? I mean, just maybe 6-8 weeks ago, the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers, a large part of that to get out from under that contract. They did not think would age well. Would he have defensive value? Obviously, he's having trouble hitting in that big park. And surprise, surprise, look at what the Red Sox have done. They would like to have Devers, of course, but they have young talent coming in. They just signed Roman Anthony to an extension. The model for contention and sustainable contention is the Roman Anthony's, is the guy. He's 21 years old. They just signed him to an 8-year extension where they're going to get out from under all the arbitration money. They'll get the best of Roman Anthony, and by the time he's a free agent, they can decide if they think he's going to age well. The Red Sox kind of getting the last laugh. Mookie Betts is not having a great season. Xander Bogaerts has been kind of so-so with the Padres, a slow start for Devers. I think teams are looking at, look, the better part of a player's career is in his 20s. The lower earning leverage for a player is in his 20s also. Maybe it's better off to have these players at the front half of their deals and not the back half of their deals.
Okay, Scott Pianowski joining us, Major League Baseball, YahooSports.com. Talking Twins, so it's a tough sell the rest of the year, though, at Target Field. Like, if you're a Twins fan, how do you go to the ballpark here? Because it's like, well, I guess you got young guys. Maybe that's the sell.
Right. And also, I mean, look, if Byron Buxton is battling any kind of an ailment, maybe he shuts down early. Royce Lewis, who's a former number 1 overall pick, do they rush him back? Probably not. Did they bring Pablo Lopez back? Probably not. So if you go to a Twins game, you're going for the ballpark experience. Maybe you're going for the visiting team. Maybe you're just going to see a wonderful stadium and in a great American city. but you're probably not doing it for the guys on the field. Although, Zebby Matthews, I thought looked pretty good yesterday in Detroit. They beat the Tigers, of course. So maybe he's somebody you see. You would think he'd probably get shut down before his innings get prohibitive. But no, it's the team they're putting out right now is an under 500 team. I don't think there's any mistaking that.
Scott, I want to ask you, Aaron Boone Yankees, they are on a slide. They're barely in the wild card race. Does Aaron Boone just keep going here? What does Hal Steinbrenner do?
I don't think they would make a change until the end of the season, but if they were to ever miss the playoffs or maybe get in and be eliminated in 72 hours, I think Boone probably goes. I think Aaron Boone needs a successful play. This sounds kind of crazy, right? I mean, they were in the World Series last year. I'm old enough to remember the father, George Steinbrenner, where he fired Dick Hauser after they won 100 games one year. They got swept in the ALCS to the Royals. There were just two teams in the playoffs back then, and Hauser didn't survive. Of course, he won a world championship with the Royals a few years later. I think Aaron Boone needs something successful to happen the rest of the way if he's going to keep his job, because at some point, coaches, managers, they're not meant to be 10, 12, 15-year solutions. I realize every once in a while a Joe Torre comes at the right time, had his finger on the pulse of a team. They had the core four. They had the entire Jeter dynasty and obviously a lot of talent around him. That's the exception, not the rule. It's a little bit different in the effort sports. You see what the average hockey coaching shelf life is under 2 years. I want to say it's something ridiculously low because you're trying to get in the guys' ears and motivate them. Jim Bouton famously said, if you've got a football players wrap each other on the shoulder pads. If baseball players did that, they'd try to swing really hard and strike out. It's a little bit more of a skill than it is an effort sport. But at some point, these guys are hired to be fired, and I think Aaron Boone, if he doesn't have a successful October or get to October, I think he'll be filling out some paperwork at the end of the year.
Okay, end of the year. Scott Pianowski on tonight, Major League Baseball, Yahoo Sports here on the Nate Brown Show. So I got a listener text coming in saying, hey, I got a question about Major League owners and what they do for their teams. Who cares? Who invests? The whole thing. He said NFL players put this survey out, and they do this survey where they say, we're going to rate our amenities, our conditioning, how they treat our families, all of that stuff. And I've seen that. Major League Baseball players don't do that. Listener said, should Major League Baseball players do that to put owners to the test here of who actually is running a good show?
They should. I have a feeling that somebody's probably doing it. A lot of those player surveys are run by The Athletic, where they ask players in different sports. They ask hockey players, football players. WNBA had a recent survey, and they'll ask, who would you most like to play for? What coach? What city? What organization? What owner? I know one problem the Patriots have had with their culture in the NFL is that Bob Kraft has put out really substandard family amenities. They don't like the weight room. They think the food is substandard, and that's how you get free agents. They also talked about in hockey, do the Florida teams have an advantage because the tax rules are different in Florida? Maybe people think nice weather, less taxes, no income tax. I want to play there. And what's happening? All these Florida teams are winning Stanley Cups, left and right. We just saw another one this past season. So sometimes owners can be penny wise, pound foolish. For all the piling on that people do for Jerry Jones, everything in that franchise is first rate. The family facilities, the food, stuff like that. And I think a lot of these teams that can't get free agents, they have to ask, look, maybe you take better care of the families. Maybe the wife or the kids need a better place to sit or child care. Maybe they want a better meal at the end of the game. Maybe they want to fly in better conditions, stuff like that, because those things matter when you're trying to attract people to your program.
Yeah, one of these Twins pitchers, a former Twins pitcher now said, the Twins we didn't have amenities. We didn't have near the stuff that, like, the Tigers have. So that was interesting. Scott Pianowski on tonight. He's in Major League Baseball, Yahoo Sports. Always appreciate you, Scott. Thanks for the time.
Always great to talk to you, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. Follow him at Scott_Pianowski if you're not. He's talking Major League Baseball, yahoosports.com. Who's hot and who's not tonight on The Nate Brown Show next.
This is The Nate Brown Show.
This just in. Due to extreme heat and humidity, your oven has refused to turn on and has officially gone on strike. But have no fear, Lofi and Country Heart Dakota-style 12-grain bread is here. Stay cool with a sandwich stacked high on Country Hearth bread for dinner instead. Soft, fresh, and no heat required. And if you're serving with chips, mind the crunching. Lofi doesn't like it. When your oven's off the clock, dinner's on Lofi and Country Hearth.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
At Ace, your backyard is right in our backyard. So when you need to feed your grass, remove the weeds, or wrangle those leaves, go to the best place that delivers on top brands like Ego, Toro, and Steel. No warehouse store can match the convenience of your locally owned neighborhood Ace. So stop on by. You can also order online for curbside pickup or get what you need delivered. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their lawn care. At participating stores.
Football season is almost here, and we're throwing a huge kickoff party in the BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort. Thursday, September 4th is the official start to pro football action, and we'll have games, prizes, great food, cold drinks, and even the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Enjoy the BetMGM Sportsbook with wall-to-wall televisions, comfortable and spacious seating, and personal live audio streamed right to your phone. Kick off your season right with the BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort, where it's always game on.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Mainly clear tonight with a slight chance for storms. Lows around 67, southerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, high of 98. Partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow night, lows level off around 66. Temps below average Friday and Saturday with highs in the low 80s. Slight chance of thunderstorms Friday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 85 degrees.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
Remember when life was simple? Nope, me neither. The summer sun may feel great to us, but summer heat takes its toll on your vehicle. Don't risk your family's vacation fun by ignoring vehicle maintenance. When it comes to your vehicle maintenance or repair, keeping it simple is easy. The ASE certified technicians at Al's D&I can make sure your car is in top running condition. Maintenance now or fix it later. Most vehicles, most years, and most countries. Al's D&I can fix them. Check in at Al's D&I on Sturgis Road and online at alsdniautorepair.com.
Both Mr. Liquor stores in Rapid City welcome you to the Black Hills and the 85th Sturgis Rally. Shop Western South Dakota's largest selection of beer, wine, and spirits, plus collectible bottles of bourbon that include custom-etched Jack Daniel's single barrel whiskey with the 85th Sturgis logo, Mount Rushmore, Devil's Tower, and more. Plus, the new store features the Campfire Bar, where you can enjoy a draft beer while you shop. Mr. Liquor has 2 locations to serve you, next to Walmart off Catron Boulevard or on the corner of West Chicago at Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
All right, let's wrap this up tonight on a Wednesday. Thanks for being here tonight. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio. It's Who's Hot and Who's Not every night at this time. Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet, your locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch tonight. Unbelievable buffet. It's great. Who's Hot category? Oh, boy, look out. This is interesting. A recent study has revealed that children are more likely to inherit their athletic abilities from their moms rather than their dads. Researchers found key components influencing athletic performance, muscle endurance, and coordination come from a certain DNA, which is passed down only from moms. Study shows kids get their athletic ability from their moms. Explains why I have to yell at my kids so much on the field. Anyway, I'm kidding. Have fun with it. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not tonight, this is easy. I was, we were looking, hey, what's the big headline? So what's the negative? What's a big whopping thing here? The Rockies played today. You know about the Colorado Rockies? They played the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are the number 1 team in the East, and the Blue Jays just beat the Rockies today 20-1. I mean, that's hard to do. I didn't even give up that many runs in church league softball back in the day, but 20-1. I mean, the Rockies got beat by the Orioles, I think it was a couple weeks ago, 18-2. Now the Blue Jays 20-1. The Rockies are just, you think, who's worse? Rockies, Twins. We'll keep that bit going. Thanks for listening. The Nate Brown Show in the books tonight. The podcast going up right now. And, of course, we'll be back tomorrow for Thursday Happy Hour.
It's the geometry teacher who mans the ticket window.
It's the kid in grade